In recent months, the Chelsea ownership have come under fire at Chelsea Football Club. They've made mistakes, they've spent a lot of money, and they've made easy headlines ridiculing Chelsea, or certainly their ownership of Chelsea. But is it all bad? And really, is Todd Boehly and Clearlake Capital making good decisions behind the scenes? We're going to discuss that here today, ladies and gentlemen. Fabrizio Romano just uploaded the video speaking about Kendry Pires and how it's ridiculously good business for Chelsea and how they identified this kid and moved for him. But it's not just Kendry Pires, there's other players as well. Yes, Chelsea have spent lots of money on starting 11 players that they feel needed to be purchased for right now. And maybe that's good as well. So we're going to talk about it today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Football Therapy. If you think you might like the content I make, you're welcome to subscribe. And I'd always urge you to let me know you like the content simply by liking the content. Alright then. So, in a time of peculiar transition and uncertainty and instability and turbulence in Chelsea, maybe they're doing some stuff right. So, a law recap of where we are. Roman Abramovich got sanctioned, Chelsea got sold, and loads of players, staff, and coaches left. And the whole club needed to be rebuilt from the ground up. Structurally, financially, football structurally, and just everything, essentially. And a culture needed to be rebuilt. If you watch my content and like to listen to me talk about football, you'll know that for a long, long time, I believe Chelsea had been papering over cracks in certain ways, including Thomas Tuchel's wonderful win of the Champions League, of course utilising the likes of N'Golo Kante putting an amazing performance in that campaign. But for a long time, Chelsea as an institution was rudderless, moving in different directions under different coaches, playing different philosophies, different styles. And it was just such an unsettled club. There was an underlying DNA theme that we all enjoyed as Chelsea fans, and that was winning. And, once interviewed, Frank Lampard always said, we never really had a style or philosophy. We just sort of won and did well, and that kind of vibes approach no longer worked in the Premier League, especially as the Premier League developed and became this competitive high-octane transitional monster that it is now, where even the teams in the lower echelons of the division are still really good. If they can beat other teams, you need to really be cultivated into a systemic, formulaic institution that is bred for winning and thinking long term. Now, enter the new Chelsea owners. They're coming in with their eyes open. They've looked at Chelsea under Abramovich and gone, wow, this club loses money every single year, despite being the only team in London with a European Cup, despite having the prime real estate in England in terms of Stamford Bridge, having a huge fan base, and just really not optimized as a club in terms of branding, marketability, and actual sporting development in terms of how the club has been curated long term, so new coaches can come in and succeed without spending ridiculous amounts of money. Now, they saw this and they went for very much the data-led approach, which obviously we met some misses, ladies and gentlemen. I endorsed the appointment of Graham Potter, but hey, we're all wrong, aren't we, sometimes? And theoretically, it was a risk because they needed to learn that despite all their data and, and they were appalled by Chelsea's lack of data when they arrived, or lack of use of data. For all their love of data and numbers, there is a certain level of aura, I hate that word, that you need from certainly a manager to make a big club succeed. Chelsea have had, all Chelsea's big coaches have had it. I'm not going to list them off now, but, in his own way, Klopp's got it, even though he grinds my gears. Guardiola certainly has it. Arteta's got it. Does Postecoglou got it? In a way, I kind of like how he doesn't have it. But he does have a sort of authority that perhaps Potter didn't have. Anyway, so they looked at Chelsea, they're like, right, well, this is just clearly unsustainable madness, especially now more than ever, not only are you not setting yourself up in terms of future-proofing yourself as a financial institution, but also as a sporting institution. This is madness. And less and less and less, this is working over the years less, rather. It's developing into a less sustainable plan as time goes on and the Premier League, or indeed just English football's, or European football's landscape develops. It was no longer feasible. And I sort of saw this coming a little while ago. Not only me, I don't want to talk about that I knew stuff that other people didn't, but many did. So they saw this and they've made mistakes, largely making too many changes too soon. Obviously Graham Potter was a nice idea, but they had to learn from that mistake as well. Just constantly getting shafted by Brighton over and over and over. Hopefully that's a lesson they eventually learn. And investing too much in the first transfer window under Thomas Tuchel. I think Raheem Sterling, always represented a solid transfer. Obviously, he's at very high wages, but, your Aubameyangs, your Koulibalys, your Marc Cucurellas, huge transfer fees, huge wages. That was under the new ownership. They're coming out now with this, yes, we're going to do this really intelligent, amortized, long-term contracts, but on really low wages with incentivized bonuses. So you'll only get paid 80, 90k a week, but you can make that 200k a week if you score goals, if you win trophies. I've always called for that long before the new Chelsea ownership. I always referenced Harry Kane's contract at Tottenham Hotspur, where he was he wasn't on Man City players' money. He wasn't on Manchester United players' money. He wasn't even on Chelsea players' money, who get paid slightly less than those two aforementioned clubs. But he got paid a lot of money because he was on an incentivized bonus that says, look, Harry, if you score loads of frigging goals, mate, if you score over 20 Premier League goals every season, over 25, you get the money. He did that. He got the money. So I fully endorse that model of doing that, paying players a basic package. And this ultimately is what saw, Mason Mount leave, really. So there's lots of stuff to consider there. And yes, they've done things wrong. Let's make sure this isn't just like a passion piece of the new Chelsea ownership. As much as I endorse the idea, they made stuff wrong. So like I said, they made too many changes too quickly. They spent too much money on certain players before they introduced this model with their new sporting directors. Like I said, the Koulibalys, the Cucurellas, the Aubameyangs, and all these players they just brought in that didn't work. They did that too quickly. They made too many staff changes too quickly. They rolled too much of a dice on Graham Potter in terms of cost loads of money to get him out of Brighton. They paid him a lot of money. He was the third highest paid coach in the Premier League, which just shouldn't have been the case. He should have been on a contract that goes up or something. And yes, so and essentially they just completely they did too much too quickly. But what they have done right is now, I know Chelsea are still got a lot to prove under Pochettino, but they brought in a coach that they're okay, so he's going to theoretically do what Graham Potter should have done for us in terms of understanding that it's a long-term project with youth development. He suits that, but he's also got that four-letter word aura. He's got an authoritative vibe to him. He's a Galactico manager, so he suits. He's right, so we'll get him in and we'll do this youth development Project 2030, which we'll talk about more in a second, but we'll give him a starting 11. So Pochettino has said in many interviews when everyone's like, Poch, don't you think this is friggin' mental? All this stuff going on. He said, no, I know exactly what's going on. I've always knew what was going on. We know here in the media that it was a, quote, exhaustive interview process that went on for so long. It was one of the worst kept secrets ever that Pochettino was going to manage Chelsea, but it wasn't official for such a long time because they were meticulously making sure on both sides that they understood each other and they understood what they were trying to do, which theoretically we got to that point, right? So he knew what was going on and he knew it was a long-term thing, but what he was offered is a team. Because Chelsea are right, we are done with these largely dysfunctional, really good players all on high wages. Now, I've said this before in previous pieces of content. Kovacic, amazing player. Jorginho, amazing sort of player in his own right. But different, all bought at different times to do different things. Kante, an amazing player that he's a sort of unique case, a bit like Hazard. But so many high-paid players like your Ziyech's, your Werner's, your Havertz's, they're all massive wages, and they've always been sort of thrown together by previous regimes and management, and nothing is joined up thinking. So they're like, right, scrap that completely. Even if we pay ridiculous transfer fees to get the right players in, we're all going to get them in a young age. We're all going to make sure they suit a certain profile, and they're all going to be on low wages. Mudryk, 92k a week. I think Enzo's just on over 100k a week, but he's won the World Cup and the best young player at the World Cup. It's very different. You know, even that's an amazing. You know, he's on. Bukayo Saka's on 3 times as much as Enzo Fernandez, and it's not a slight on Saka. He's Arsenal's most important player. It just goes to show, and you know, Moises Caicedo similar. These players are on long contracts on low wages. You know, certainly by historical standards from Chelsea. So that people will talk about the headlines from the massive investment, but they give Pochettino and they give the Chelsea first team, right, this is solid quality to build on long term and start again. We know the spectre of Chelsea ghost past of dysfunctional teams and like players that were bought for a lot of money from different coaches because they wanted him, and you know, oh, I'll bring him in, I really want him, and then the coach gets sacked and then they've got this player on high wages and stuff. No, they'll say no more. You've got this kind of player next to this kind of player. They're both young, they're both highly rated, they've got scope for development. Fernandez, Caicedo, Lavia, etc. Mudryk, Madueke, do you know what I mean? Breuer, Jackson, all really young. They've got a long-term potential for growth. So that is future-proofing and that is thinking ahead. But also, I want to talk about this investment for Project 2030, which all those kind of guys do kind of suit. But of course, Fabrizio Romano was talking up Kendry Pires because we bought him for a basic of 10 million euros. I think he was he still 15 when we agreed that? Obviously 16 and a half. Now we get him in about 18 months. Excuse me, but Chelsea believe he's already worth way more than that. Of course, he's breaking records for Ecuador and looks like an absolute phenomenon, this young teenager. So they're very excited about that. And he came for a basic of 10 million euros. Of course, we've even spoken about it on the channel recently. But it's not just him, man. Like, Andre Santos, okay, so we bought him from Vasco da Gama for 12 million euros. So what's that? That's about like 10 million pounds. And he was a teenager when we bought him, I believe. Andre Santos, of course, he's playing in the Premier League right now, or should be, he's on loan at Forest anyway. And Andre Santos, we bought as a teenager for so little. He wore the captain's armband for the Under-20 South American Championship, which they won Brazil. He's, of course, the Brazilian youth international. He's since been called up to the Brazil senior team, which is a massive accolade because Brazil have got a ridiculous roster. You don't need me to tell you that. He wore the captain's armband, he won that tournament, and he won top goal scorer from central midfield. From central midfield, not like attacking midfield. He's like a sort of number 6, number 8, and he won top goal scorer in the competition, wearing the captain's armband, since got his like senior call up to the Brazil first team. 12 million euros. This is already, you could say he's like more than doubled his value. Now, this is intelligent scouting from Chelsea as well. You can even say, so Cesare Casadei we purchased for 15 million euros, which is what, about 12 million pounds. He too captained this Italy youth side, and he won in the Under-20 World Cup. He won top goal scorer again from central midfield. He's like a number 8 with 7 goals in that tournament, getting the top goal scorer. And he cost 15 million euros because he won decent amount of a couple of big trophies at the youth level in terms of in Italy in Serie A. Again, he's on loan at Leicester, high profile loan. But Chelsea will look at that, 12 million quid, Cesare Casadei. After these young players, Chelsea buy them, then they go and represent their countries and have these like excellent performances and juice up their transfer fees. These are multiple examples of Chelsea's youth scouting system and going, yes, this not only is this future-proofing Chelsea, which we've never really done before, their value as assets are doubling, tripling, moving forwards. Now, of course, Chelsea have always been in the position where you think, well, you know, shouldn't Chelsea have been future-proofing with their academy? Well, yes, in theory, but Chelsea never did that until Frank Lampard came along and we had a transfer ban. There's a ridiculous stat of how many debuts Lampard gave, and it was ridiculous. I would not be able to list them, all of them. People will think like, whatever, your obvious ones like your Mounts and your Reece James, and I think Tomori already played, but Tammy Abraham. But there's ones like Tariq Lamptey, Breuer, Tino Andrew. Like it goes on and on and on and on and on. There's literally like freaking 20 of us, or best part of 20 or something. But it was a sort of Lampard dream, and then it sort of went away a little bit, and people are frustrated. Another thing to be frustrated with the ownership is the pure profit allure of selling academy products. Of course, Mason Mount is a big one. That will probably still divide opinion, though a lot of people haven't been crying about it of late. He's not performed well at Manchester United, of course. He didn't seem overly sad to go, and there's that clip of his old man who's a Manchester United fan. If remember, neither of these guys are Chelsea fans. So a Man United fan and a Portsmouth fan as a son of Mason Mount. I'm not saying Mount didn't have any affection for Chelsea. He's a career-driven lad. But there's a little bit of that, when he goes to Old Trafford and he's like, we're home, we've done it, sort of thing. That kind of killed the buzz a little bit for Chelsea fans. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, hugely affectionate, loads of people for him, but at the same time, everyone accepted him going. The one that maybe stuck in the throat was Lewis Hall, but Lewis Hall's, again, he's a Newcastle fan. As soon as he heard Newcastle were in for him, he was like, yes, please. And Chelsea got £31 million for him, which is extraordinary. And it's not to say Chelsea, youngsters will not be utilised. Pochettino will turn to youth. He always does that. Of course, Chelsea have bought a lot of the Galactico international youth from South America and indeed around the world. And we'll look from there. Of course, we've bought the likes of, we've spoken about the other forwards, but people like Leslie Ugochukwu from France, he looks very, very good. Young players like under 21 international or on the cusp like 21, Malo Gusto, who looks like an excellent, intelligent purchase. Cole Palmer, of course, is a high-profile, expensive purchase from Man City, 40 million quid, rising to 45, I believe. So that's obviously a lot of money, and that's like a first-teamer investment. But he seems like a first-teamer performer as of yet. So hugely future-proofing the club and thinking long-term. Buying players that their value will increase. Buying players that you put them on low wages so you protect the club financially. Buying players that suit a philosophy, an ethos, ideals long-term. So you have to pose the question. There were teething issues, yes. Mistakes that were made, which kind of doesn't really, surprise considering how enthusiastic the owners were and hands-on that, and uneducated in some ways, experientially, not experienced at all, that there was going to be mistakes. But the incentive, you hear it from people like Frank Lampard, who loves Chelsea, who's hugely, endorses what the owners want to do. He had it from Potter and, Pochettino, even Tuchel. Tuchel's like, Tuchel didn't like it because they were hands-on, but he's clearly like, they really got plans here and they want to do good things, but just Tuchel didn't like it. Are they doing the right things? It's so easy to just take the mick when things went wrong early doors, but isn't it right, just like we can, laugh against them going into get angry with them going into the, the locker room, the changing room. God, I'm being converted now. At half-time, it's a no-go. It's a sacred place. I was against that. And there's loads of other mistakes as well. But we rightly highlight that. Shouldn't we rightly highlight this good stuff as well, that actually, for the long run, is protecting the club and should make the club better? I posed the question and I put it out to you guys. So please do let me know your thoughts, feelings, down in the comment section below. Thank you for supporting the content. You're welcome to subscribe, and I'll urge you to like if that doesn't even help us out anymore. I'm not even sure it does, but you're welcome to. Alright, mate. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you back here very soon. Peace.